I'm Angela Oakes, Cost of Living Crisis Project Officer here at One Voice Wales, and today I'm joined by my colleague Emma, and she'll be manning the Q&As for us today. So right now, many of our communities across Wales are facing real challenges, from the cost of living to the growing pressure on local services. And that makes the role of community and town councils more important than ever. You're the ones closest to the people, and your ability to listen, to understand and act on what your residents need is absolutely crucial. So today is all about strengthening that role, and by exploring how we can engage with communities in meaningful ways, especially during tough times. So let's take a moment to think about the reality many of our residents are living with. The cost of living crisis is hitting hard. The Office for National Statistics tells us that over 90% of UK adults have seen their living costs rise in the past year. And around 1 in 4 households are struggling to pay energy bills, with over 2 million people across the UK regularly skipping meals just to make their ends meet. So as councils, you're often the first place people turn to when they need help, and that puts you in a really powerful position, not just to provide services, but to make sure the decisions that you make are shaped by the voices of local people. And that's hopefully today what the webinar is all about. So good community consultation means more than surveys or tick box forms. It means building real two-way conversations with residents, especially those who are being hardest hit, and making sure their views shape what you do and how you do it. When people feel heard, they're more likely to get involved, support what you're doing, and trust your leadership, even when times are difficult. And engagement isn't just good practice, it's essential for building stronger, more supportive communities. So today we're really pleased to have 3 really fantastic speakers joining us today who are doing this work on the ground. So first of all, we'll hear from Sophie Johnson, Community Engagement Officer at Blaenavon Town Council. And Sophie will be sharing how they've worked to build trust and involve residents in shaping local decisions. We'll also be hearing from Sheila Jones, Councillor at Vann Community Council, and she'll be sharing the different ways they connect with residents, making the very most of every opportunity to listen, consult, and understand their views and needs. And finally, Anne McCreary, a councillor at Aberporth Community Council, will talk about the different ways her council has connected with residents and how that's made a real difference. So whether you're new to community consultation or looking to strengthen your current approach, we really do hope today's session gives you useful, practical ideas and inspiration. So I'm pleased to hand over to our first speaker, Sophie Johnson, the Community Wellbeing Development Officer at Blaenavon Town Council. So good afternoon, Sophie.
Okay, yeah, hi. So my name's Sophie. I'm the Community Wellbeing Development Officer for Blaenavon Town Council. So basically my role is just to engage with residents and find out their wants and their needs, and then look to provide projects, initiatives, events that meet those wants and needs. So just briefly then, Blaenavon Town Council, we consist of 12 councillors, and we have a chief officer, assistant chief officer and myself. I'm part-time and so is the assistant chief officer. Our precept for this financial year is 205,710, and our project spend has been increased to 66,100. So Blaenavon is a medium-sized council. Our population is just over 6,000 with 4,740 electorate. And the Town Council is a founding partner of the Blaenavon World Heritage Site Partnership. And we fall within the boundaries of Torfaen Borough Council, along with 5 other councils. Yeah, so basically this screen is just details the role of the Town and Community Council. So obviously you probably already know this, to be honest. So yeah, the grassroots tier of local government in Wales, and we look to represent the local interests and deliver community projects and services and engage with residents to inform our decision-making process. So our community initiatives, we are committed to strengthening community ties and ensuring local voices shape the town's future. So based on this, the two key engagement events we did in 2024 was the Community Wellbeing Day in May and the Blaenavon Civic event in October. It's worth saying as well at this point that these were our two sort of main ones, but because of my role within the council, we do conduct lots of other smaller, regular engagement activities. So at any of the events that we run or projects that we organise, we are always looking to engage with residents on a lower scale. But these are our two sort of main ones that help us as well. So yeah, we look to have a proactive approach to community engagement. As Angela mentioned, just to sort of demonstrate a genuine partnership with residents and gain their trust. And yeah, so it's we were looking to sort of create a dialogue between residents, community groups and public sector partners, not just the town council. We were looking to bring everyone together to see how we could all work together ultimately. Yeah, and the aim was to create a platform, like I said, for collaborative and constructive conversations, and just letting residents know that we are listening and they are if they engage with us, they'll help to shape what we plan going forward. So like I said, the two main ones was the Community Wellbeing Day. So we look to bring people together to promote health, wellbeing, community cohesion and engagement. This was a more sort of family-friendly, fun, non-formal event. And then the Civic Awards presentation evening, slightly more sort of formal and structured. So it recognised that we gave out awards that recognised the contribution of people in the community, and also raising awareness of the work that we do as a council and promoting our services as well. And it fosters belonging and active citizenship to allow direct engagement with grassroots community leaders and also community champions. And the evidence we gained from these was the feedback forms, which I'll mention later, the surveys that we did, the more formal ones at the Civic Awards, and also at the Community Wellbeing Day, we took feedback and we took notes and things on feedback. And then also just with genuine conversations with councillors and with the officers as well. So the Community Wellbeing Day, we've done two now. The first one we did in 2023, and then because that was successful, we did another one in 2024. So that was held at Blaenavon World Heritage Centre, which is kind of like the tourist information centre for the town. It houses the library for the town, a lovely cafe. It's a real hub of community, which is always a good sort of start there anyway. And like I said, the aim of the event was to bring partners together all in one place to engage with residents, to promote their services, the things that they offer, and the support that they can offer to residents in a fun and relaxed environment. And I'd say partnership working was key to the success of the event. We had lots of different partners from our local borough council, lots of their different departments joined in and helped, third sector organisations, local charities, local businesses and local community groups, because at the end of the day, we're all working for the same sort of thing and we're all looking to engage and help residents. So the idea was bring us all together instead of us, one group doing one event, one doing another, bring everyone together. And it's just more beneficial for us and for the community as well. So we included services aligned to health and wellbeing, things to do with financial support, housing, the cost of living crisis, education, employment and volunteering. So we had somebody from lots of different backgrounds that could help with those sort of things for residents. And on the screen there, that's the poster that we created. We tried to get it as sort of exciting and attractive as possible, noting down all the sort of fun things that were going on, just because we thought it's going to encourage more people to come along. So we were really lucky with partners. They offered this, a lot of them offered their services for free, so it was a really cost-effective day as well, because of the sort of deep-rooted relationships we've got with the partners. We've worked with them lots in the past. They were kind of more than happy to get on board and help us out for free. Because at the end of the day, it helped them as well. It helped them to engage with residents, which is key to a lot of their services. Yeah, there's another poster there of just like an activity timetable of the day. And unlike the traditional consultation meeting, like I said, the event was designed to just be fun and engaging for all generations. So we tried to appeal to young families, to single people, to older people, to teens as well, just so we could reach as much of the community as possible. And the feedback we gained was just simply by natural conversations with the residents and the town councillors. We had a lot of councillors attend sort of throughout the day. Some stayed all day, others an hour here, an hour there. We had a bit of a rota system to make sure there was always a couple of councillors around. And yeah, it just gave residents the opportunity to provide feedback about what they'd like to see in the community in a relaxed kind of way. We also had a deal as such with the cafe on site as well. So we were offering vouchers for a free sandwich and a free cup of tea to residents after they'd kind of spoken and engaged with us, which really encouraged them to speak to us. So that was good. And we also, again, linked to the cost of living crisis, we wanted to give the community just a really fun, free day out that also sort of helped them in other ways as well, by being able to chat to citizens' advice, say, or the finance team at the local council. So we kind of wanted to roll it all into one and give a fun, free day out as well. A nice, easy idea that was more successful than we thought. To be honest, it wasn't really planned. It was kind of an off-the-cuff idea. It was just to get some post-it notes and just give the community post-it notes just to write down what they liked. The children really loved it. It was easy for everybody to be able to do. And then we just had a board where they stuck up all their ideas. And then over the next week or so, we just looked through all those, some really funny, silly ideas that are never going to happen, but surprisingly, some really, really good ones that we've ended up putting into practice. Yeah, and again, that just enhanced the relaxed kind of atmosphere of the day. And the feedback was analysed, and yeah, like I say, it's gone on to be put into lots of different projects that we've delivered in 24 and in 25 as well. Yeah, so some of the activities, like I say, we wanted it to sort of be fun and relaxed and free, just to encourage people to have those natural conversations and to make it a bit less sort of, oh, there's the town council and there's the community, and we just wanted them to be relaxed, to chat to us. So again, the library, we worked really well with the library. They're brilliant in Blaenavon, so they delivered story and craft sessions for the children, which again were free. Face painting and balloon modelling, we did those for free. We also, it's no longer functioning anymore, but there was a department within Torvine that was funded through SPF funding, and they came on board as well, and they paid for a few different things, including a go-kart building workshop, which went down really well. Also, we had some sports and exercise taster sessions, which catered for all abilities and ages. That was another way to promote one of the services we offer in Blaenavon. We do a mother and daughters exercise group, and also quite a few over 60s exercise groups. So we had the instructor from those groups come along and do a taster session of those. We had like Zumba, and we also had like chair-based yoga as well for our older residents, which was really popular. We had cookie decorating, which was a partner that we've worked with in the past, a lady from a franchise called Cookstars, who runs a lot of cooking on a budget family cookery workshops for us. And she kindly did the cookie decorating for free because we've used her before in lots of activities. We also ran some wellbeing and mindfulness sessions. Again, that was through a group within the borough council that we've worked with before, and they were provided for free as well. And then again, a voucher for a free lunch for those who engaged with us. Yeah, so that's just some photos there. We had like the police involved as well. We had the fire service there, giving out fire safety packs and organising like home visits to check people's smoke alarms and things like that. There was the chair-based yoga sessions, the cookie decorating, the crafts, the go-karts, and then the Zumba down the bottom as well. We were really lucky 2024 because the weather was absolutely beautiful. It was boiling, but the year before it was bitterly cold and we couldn't do anything outside. So it was complete luck of the draw half the time. Yeah, so that was the community engagement, community wellbeing day. Slightly less formal, more sort of open event for the whole community, which, like I say, provided really, really good feedback. And I think the cost to us, we had about 500 people, both years, we had 500 people through the doors. So it was relatively low cost considering the amount of feedback we received from the community, the variance on the different community members that we chatted with and engaged with on the day, and just the fact that it was a really nice day out for the community as well. They felt like included and that we were truly listening to them while also providing a really nice day for free, especially, you know, with the cost of living crisis. So that was that one. And then in October 2024, we held our annual civic event. And this year we held it at a different venue. We held it at the Workman's Hall, which is, I don't know if any of you know Blaenavon or the hall or have anything similar yourselves, but it's a beautiful, beautiful building in Blaenavon. It is another example of a community hub, really. That's a lot goes on in Blaenavon there, and the Blaenavon people are really, really proud of it, deservedly so. So we held it there this year. So this event looked to target community leaders, volunteers and partner organisations, formally recognising their outstanding contributions to the town. They received awards for various different categories. And we had speeches from our mayor, and also the One Voice Wales chief executive came and gave a speech as well about sort of reinforcing the importance of community engagement. So the event facilitated networking between community leaders and the council. So we had councillors strategically placed at each table with different community leaders and different community groups. They were all spread out throughout the room just to encourage and facilitate the dialogue there. So I'll just move on to the surveys that we created for that event because they were really powerful as well. So we carefully designed them to be simple and effective, ensuring they were easy for participants to understand and complete. So these surveys and pens were put at every place on the table, and everyone was asked to complete them during one of the speeches. We made sure to use clear, concise language, avoiding any sort of technical jargon or complex wording that might deter people from engaging and writing their ideas down. We kept the questions short and focused. We find often using multiple choice or scaled responses like really streamlines it, and it's just so much easier for people to fill in. But then we also included opportunities for open-ended feedback, encouraging participants to share their views freely. So it creates an inviting and accessible format, which made it more likely that community members would participate and feel comfortable expressing their opinions. We also we do ask for names and organisations, but it's not compulsory. So sometimes if people know it's anonymous, they're a bit more likely to give us their honest opinion, which is what we want, really. Yeah, so there's just a few photos of the award winners and the setup of the room. So yeah, the idea of the civic event obviously is to honour and congratulate members of the community that work really hard and provide amazing services for the community. But it's also a great idea to bring together community group leaders and third sector organisations and councillors to have a more sort of in-depth discussion around the table and to bring ideas to the table and things like that. So the response from the community, both events were really successful, high attendance and enthusiastic participation. And residents and leaders actively engaged together in meaningful dialogue. We shared ideas, concerns, and given feedback. So the data that we've received from the survey was integrated into our strategy and decision making. We sort of went back and had a good look at it all, and I didn't myself, somebody else did a really good report on all the feedback, and it was really, really helpful. And like I said, several initiatives proposed during the events are now being actively explored by the council, some of which we've already put into practice. There was a lot of feedback about the lack of travel and transport in Blaenavon, which we did already know, but it kind of cemented the fact for us, and then also helps us with like the grant applications for our pilot scheme for the travel transport initiative that we're trying to do. We've got evidence that, you know, the community want it and need it. There's also a lot of things about like young people and things like that being more involved and active within the community. So we've put together some projects and initiatives on that as well. Yeah, so the feedback and strategic planning element of it, the evidence of the success of the events has been the high attendance and also the diversity in the residents and stakeholders. And the meaningful dialogue and valuable feedback demonstrated the engagement that we received. And yeah, so the responses are directly influencing our strategy, and initiatives proposed during the event are being actively pursued, as I've already said. And that's it, if that's okay, and if anyone's got any questions.
Thank you very much for that, Sophie. That was a really, really good presentation. Lots of information there and lots of good hints and tips as well to get the very best from any events that you might put on for the community as well to gather that information. So as Sophie's got a few minutes where she can stay with the webinar. So does anyone have any questions that they'd like to put forward to Sophie at all?
Yeah, just to say that was exemplary.
Yeah.
That presentation, and I'm thinking about mine that's coming next, and I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, I wish I'd done, you know, like that. I wish I could have had lessons off you. That was absolutely amazing. I just
Thank
wanted to
you.
say that
Yeah.
was so clear and everything else. So well done for that, and the
Thank you
work that
very
you've
much.
done, the work that you've done to get to that far. So well done, yeah.
Huel Jenkins says, excellent work, Blaenavon. Thanks for that, Huel.
Yeah, Sophie, yeah, really nice presentation, Sophie, and thanks so much. Been taking some notes to take back to our council. Just a quick question. First of all, your civic event, is that an annual event, or was that the first time you'd run that like that?
Yeah, it is an annual event,
Right.
but it's the first time we've run it sort of as more of an engagement event as well, with the surveys and things like that. We did it on a bigger scale this year, invited more people, had more awards,
Yeah.
and introduced the surveys as well. Yeah.
Okay, right. That looks like a really interesting. I presumably there was a reasonable financial outlay to put on an event like that, but you feel that's worthwhile? Or
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because it was like a double faceted event, we had the recognition of the community, you know, the volunteers and things like that in the community, which is always fantastic to give recognition where it's deserved. But then also the feedback that we had and the responses we received from the people that attended, that feedback has been invaluable in planning future events and projects, but also evidence for grant applications and things like that. And then also being able to bring stakeholders and third-party organisations together and sit them around the table with people that are really active within the community was ensuring that the community's voices were being heard by other organisations, not just the town council. We had, you know, people from other parts of the borough council and other charities and things. So it was bringing them to the community as well, and into like, you know, sort of people that are leaders within the community were able to express the views of other people that they know. So it was bringing that to them as well. So yeah, definitely worth it.
lovely. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And you've got your hand there raised. There we go.
Yeah. That was great, Sophie. Is your post funded out of the precept?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But part of my role as well is to sort of look for and apply for grants and funding
Right.
to run these projects. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So
Thanks.
what happened was before I've been in post now 2.5 years. Before I was in post, they had an officer similar to me that was sort of was jointly funded by the town council and also the health board. And that was like a pilot scheme. And then when that ended, because of the good response and the positive impact that they found the role had, it warranted fully funding a role, you know, through the precept. Yeah.
Right. Thanks.
If I could just jump in, like I say, great presentation, and it sounds like, you know, Blaenavon have nailed it really. You know, you it sounds like
I don't know.
Yes.
There's a lot of work to do.
you figured out how to engage with your residents to get that feedback, which is so crucial. What challenges did you find along the way? You know, what failures did you have, just so that, you know, we can hear that there are ups and downs of that journey.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always the worry that you are going to face a little bit of backlash, especially with the civic event. People see it as, oh, it's a jolly and everyone's just, you know, having a nice bit of food and all the rest of it on money, you know, taxpayers' money. So yeah, we have experienced that in the past, which is I think it's sort of across the board with different things, isn't it? But like I was mentioning earlier, the way we see it is we are spending money on the event, but the positives that we gain from the event far outweigh the cost. And then also with the community engagement, the Community Wellbeing Day, sorry, as I was saying before, because we've partnered with so many different organisations that also put money in and pay for certain things, that lowers the cost dramatically for us. So you've just got to look at ways to justify the spend really, so that if you do receive backlash from other people in the community, you can come back to them with your costings and with your reasonings and saying, look, 500 people came to this event and experienced this, and it only cost us X amount because we did this to keep the cost down. I think as long as you can justify it, then that always helps. Again, it is hard work to organise events like this, and Blaenavon are lucky because they've got me, but not me. I just mean they've got a member of staff whose job it is to do this. I understand that it's not the same across the board, and it is, you know, just maybe the clerk and the councillors. So yeah, I do, and we find ourselves the amount of work that goes into these sort of things, and also everything else that we run is huge. So that's a big hurdle for us really, is managing your workload and trying not to take on too much. And again, this is why it's good working with partners, because they can take some of the pressure off.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that with us, Sophie. So any more questions for Sophie before we move on? No, there's a few comments there in the chat. Loads of people just acknowledging, Sophie, what an excellent presentation you gave there. Thanking you for sharing your experiences. The resources, someone's asked if we'll be sharing the resources. Is it okay, Sophie, if we share the presentation from today? So that and anything else from today will be shared post webinar, so look out for that as well. Okay, great stuff. So thanks for that, Sophie. I know you've got to shoot, so
thank you. I can stay until 1:45, so I'll stay and listen now.
great stuff. Oh, Emma, did you just want to come in there?
I was just giving Sophie a round of applause.
Thank you. You can all email my boss. I'll give you his email address if you like.
If actually, if you want to just pop your contact details in the chat, Sophie, that would be useful just in case anyone has got a question which they didn't put forward today, or think of something later on that they might want to ask. Robin, you've got your hand. Oh, that's an applause as well. Fantastic. There we go. Great stuff. Okay, so we'll move on then. So we've heard from Blaenavon. Obviously, they have Sophie, they have someone in that role who is able to go out there, you know, find partners, help put these venues together. But we'll be hearing from a much smaller council next, and that's Sheila Jones from Vann Community Council, one of the much smaller councils, and it always amazes me how much they're able to achieve on such a small budget and such a small team of councillors as well. So Sheila has got a presentation which she has asked me to share for her. So I'll attempt to do that for her. So welcome, Sheila. Thanks for joining us. Let's just see if I can pop your presentation up. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, can everyone see that?
I can't see it, Angela.
You can't
No.
see it. Oh,
No. Hang on, I think
can you see
that's
it now?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're a much smaller community council with less than 5,000 residents, and we've got a precept of 31,500. So, and we haven't got a community engagement officer. So there's Caerphilly Castle. Our situation is we have 3 wards: Lansbury Park, Brynner, and Porset Park. And we've been working on community engagement for quite some time. We did a bit of community mapping, and we established who partners were in the area, and we had a couple of events. But what I wanted to talk about today was mainly about the participatory budgeting event and consultation that we're in the middle of. So we started off with a Blue Monday event in conjunction with Garvo and in conjunction with Caerphilly Cares. And we thought we could find out some things prior to the participatory budgeting money being available to us, and we could maybe start on some things before we received that money. So it was to improve social and emotional well-being, promote independence, reduce social and emotional location and reduce social and emotional location and loneliness, help people to feel part of the community, and coordinate appropriate support services to facilitate positive outcomes for complex cases, and provide information and advice on suitable community groups and activities. So that was 3 weeks after Christmas, really, when the weather's cold, the dark evenings are there, and seem endless, and overspending is something that faces most people. So we began canvassing at that event with residents on their needs. We had a group of children singing from the local school, and we had balloon modelling, and various organisations were there represented, and it was quite a successful event. We've I remember somebody saying on a webinar before that they found that not enough people turned up. Well, I think at the time I said, keep doing it, because you will build on it, and this is what we're finding. Just keep going. Only a few people the first time, and then more the next time, and they will get to hear about it, and you'll get more people. That was quite successful, that one. Can I move this on, Angela? Oh, there we are. So a pot of money is going to come to our area from the participatory budgeting office, and the way it's spent is decided by the residents. The participatory budgeting officer came to talk to the community council before the launch, and Caerphilly Cares were in attendance at our event to give advice and support to our residents, and our clerk and myself gave out leaflets. There's the centre where they're, looks like they've just finished their meal here, or just waiting for it. This is our community centre, run by the lady on the left is Sharon Harris, who's a community councillor, and she's got boundless energy, it feels like anyway, and really good at organising people and running the centre. And they just absolutely go in from strength to strength. I think I've spoken about them before. The centre plays a central role in supporting the community and a good place to go and find out the views of residents. So I've taken in forms like when there's a craft class on a Monday, popped in, been into the Cwtch Cafe, which is every Friday, our warm hub. And Age Cymru are always there in attendance to support our older residents. And so we've been able to give out the participatory budgeting forms there, and we've been able to have activities to help them with their well-being, like quizzes and other activities. One of the ladies has been picked up as having dementia, which I wonder if that would have happened had she not been coming to the warm hub. And now she's safely living in a home in Caerphilly. So that's the sort of thing that may go unnoticed unless they're actually getting out into the community. It's really important, isn't it? This is the Caerphilly Uniform Exchange, and they've also used money that they've had to do another one up in Rumney. This is a great asset for the community. I was up there the other day. They had a gazebo. They put a gazebo outside, and I sat underneath it with some forms, these participatory budgeting forms, and gave those. And it was lovely to just, people would go into the shop next door and they'd say, "Oh, would you pop over here and just fill this in?" There were 3 things that you needed to say about your what would improve the well-being and lives of people in the community on the form. And they just sort of popped along. We had a really good chat. So they've got a range of uniforms from various local schools and other clothes as well, like prom outfits, etc., etc. Make a real saving during this cost of living crisis for people on a day-to-day basis. So it's a great place for dropping in for a coffee. They're always there, they're there twice a week, and it's for anybody who wants to pop in, just have a chat, they're fine with that. And she's got many forms filled in and passed them on to like Lisa, she got many forms filled in and passed them on to the participatory budgeting officer. And he's been pleased to have the amount that he's been given. And I've been there as well, as they said, under the gazebo. So this was a very recent VE80 celebration, a 2-day celebration organised by our community councillor Matt Ferris and funded by the community council. On the first day we had songs from the era provided by local schools along with some sausage and mash. And then the second day we had it going on from 5 till 8 in the evening with songs from the 40s and 80s up to the 80s provided by a duo suitably dressed in 40s outfit with fish and chips from the local fish and chip shop. And at both events, residents were provided with the forms and we were able to chat to them. So the next steps now for us will be the collation of the information that's being collected. It hasn't finished yet, it's on for another couple of weeks, and we'll take every opportunity to meet with our residents and get more forms filled in. And we're looking at, I spoke to the participatory budgeting officer today and he said, "Oh, I've got a great deal of forms here." And he was speaking, well, both of us were speaking about youth engagement, and maybe we haven't got enough of that at this present time. So we'll concentrate on that before the period runs out to collect the forms. And then the organisations and services will present bids. The bids will be voted on by the community and fund at an event and public event, and funding is allocated according to the result of the vote. So it's everything that they want for their own community.
That's great, Sheila. Thank you very much for sharing that. Sounds like you're keeping yourselves busy there at Vann. And I believe there's lots of other opportunities you find to engage with residents as well, aside from the ones you've spoken about today. So did you want to just talk about a few of the other opportunities where you speak to your residents?
Well, we go down to the allotments. There's a lot of work going on down there. We keep in touch with the allotments. They're now planning a bean day because we're trying to get a gardening group together. We wanted to start small. So we're going to give a number of residents a pot and a bean, and it'll be a big occasion, and people, you know, it'll be a proper sort of event, a small event, but it'll be nevertheless an event where we get an opportunity to speak to them there. As I said, call in and find out what people want at the things that are going on in the community centre. Recently, somebody said they'd like to have menopause talks, so we managed to arrange that with the health board and the menopause team. And it's amazing once you start one thing, how something else will come up, because the menopause team were funded by Wales Union Learning Fund. So the lady from the Wales Union Learning Fund has now said, oh, I'd like to have a meeting to tell you what other things are available. So, you know, we can have something where she comes and speaks to our residents and tell them what they can, find out from them what they want. So we're going to have a meeting with her soon. There's just various things will crop up, and one person will lead you on to another person. It's just making all the connections. You know, in the beginning when we started making our contacts list, that's grown and grown. Just so, and I think, you know, we need an event regularly, definitely at least once or twice a year, to bring people together, as you have done in Blaenavon, really, and make it fun as well. Have like a little hook to bring people in. We had the police with some students from the college doing a well-being event. We can approach people there, see what they need. So it's just keeping in touch with everybody, really. Communication is key, as I always say.
Of course it is. And what I love about your approach there, Sheila, at Vann, is it's just trial and error, isn't it? I know there's been some occasions where things haven't quite worked out as you've hoped them to, and other occasions where you've had great success. So, you know, it's just a case of plugging away, isn't it?
It is very much that, yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Sheila. So we've got a couple of questions for you, Sheila, if that's okay.
Right, okay.
So, Anne, you've got your hand there raised. Anne McCreary.
Yeah, I've never heard of this participatory budget funding. Is it only available in certain places? And what is it?
It's a pot of money, and the key themes of it are that it's trying to make safer and more resilient communities, and to improve health and well-being and independence, pull communities together, encourage partnership and trust and joint ways of working, focus on approaches that stop problems getting worse, tackle climate change, and make an area a better place to live in. So we're getting this through Garvo.
Right. Is it Welsh Government funding?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, so it's probably happens all over Wales.
Yeah, we're a key area because we're in an area of multiple deprivation.
Right.
Yeah. You know.
Right. So it might not be available everywhere. Okay, thanks very much.
Okay.
That was great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's so important. I mean, it would be really valuable to try and get people engaged in making decisions like that.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and they really do appreciate being asked. You know,
yes,
they're really thrilled to be asked. You know, and I'm so glad we moved on from doing things to people rather than doing them with them.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic, thank you. We have a couple of other questions for you. So someone's asked, yeah, you've answered that actually already. Where does the PB funding come from? Does any of it come from your precept, or is it an additional?
No, it's additional to our precept, yeah.
Okay. And then we've got a few people acknowledging your wonderful presentation.
I always feel like I gabble a bit.
And then Emma's just dropped something in the comments there saying she will look for some resources for participatory budgeting to share with you after the event, if that's helpful. But it's always worth just checking what funding is available locally. And if you go to your local CVS, just to see if there's any grants, any additional funding available for you to maybe host an event or for a particular initiative that your residents are asking for in the community. So it's always worth checking what else is out there, and we always share any opportunities as well where there's pots of money possibly available for you to tap into as well. Okay, so any more questions for Sheila? Anyone? No? Okay, that's great, Sheila. Thank you very
Oh,
much
thank
for
you.
joining us today. Thank you for sharing with us all the hard work you do there as well. And best of luck. Hope it continues and to grow as well. Okay.
And thank you very much for helping with the presentation. I couldn't have made it look like
You're very welcome. Thanks then, Sheila. Okay, so we'll move on, and our final speaker today is Anne McCreary. Again, I'll be sharing Anne's presentation for her. Okay.
There we are.
Great stuff.
Hi. Hello, everybody. I'm a member of Aberporth Community Council. There are 12 of us in total of various ages. We've got some young people, and we've actually got an 89-year-old. Everyone makes a very valuable contribution, and they come to the table with lots of different work experiences and life experiences. And one of the very important things, common sense. We serve a coastal ward with 4 villages, and there's a mix of visible wealth and hidden deprivation with a larger population and significant social housing. We're also a flying start area, and 57.7% of households in Aberporth are deprived in one or more dimensions, such as employment, education, health, or housing. Our preset last year was £46,300, and we've had to, could I have the next slide, please, Angela? Yeah, we had to look at ways of upping the preset because there were some things that we really did need to tackle. So the proposed preset and the preset that we have now is £57,873. The 2 key drivers for improving the proposed preset was the fact that we wanted to purchase the playing field, which currently, well, it doesn't anymore because we bought it, belonged to the MOD, and we've been in negotiations with them, would you believe it, since 2017. That time we thought we would have to get a loan, so we required borrowing approval from the Welsh Government, and we needed to show public support and consultation, and that was really important. It was really important that we got this asset because at the end of the day, as we all know, sport is very important. Sport and healthy eating actually make for individuals that are healthier, and I suppose in effect there's less of a strain on health services, isn't there then? And also we needed to save our public toilets from closure because they're very vital to the people that live here. And also, you know, we're a tourist area, and I used to live near the coastal path, and if people saw me in the garden, the first thing they would say to me is, where can I get a loo? Or where can I get a cup of tea, you know? So it was important that we looked at that. And we negotiated with the county to contribute 11,000 to keeping them open. Together, these 2 things represented a substantial impact on our budget, and we knew we couldn't move forward without community buy-in. Well, how did we go about that? Our engagement goals were we needed to communicate clearly, widely, be inclusive, reaching everyone, not just the digitally connected, which seems to be quite an issue today because lots of people are not IT savvy. They're not able to go online, and so they miss out on information. And it really is important that as a community council, we speak to everyone in one way or another. Because at the end of the day, we're here to represent the whole community. And so even, you know, the people that don't get out and about, we need to make sure that we visit them and ask them what they want, because at the end of the day, as I say, it's what they want, not what we think they want. We communicate clearly and widely. These were the goals, and be inclusive, as I say, reach everyone, not just the digitally connected. Build trust by showing transparency. Collect meaningful information to shape decisions so that we're actually making decisions that are informed choices. Our approach, because we knew that a one size wouldn't fit for everybody, so this is what we did. We did the online surveys. We shared social media, website and school app with information. And strangely enough, we found that it was very difficult for parents to respond because they were so busy. They often just ignored things. So we had to go back to them and say, it really is important that you do participate in this. We need to know what you think about it. We need your support. We made a YouTube video explaining the preset on our plans. We had QR codes on posters and leaflets for quick access. So in the community, we had posters on notice boards and community hotspots, the cafes, the variety of clubs, because there's a lot of clubs in Aberporth. Printed surveys were available locally, and we ensured that we had a secure post box where people could post the returns in the village so that other people weren't aware of what they were saying. We hosted a public event with afternoon tea and children's activities. That wasn't quite as successful as we thought, because it was actually the first day we'd had any sunshine and it wasn't raining for a long time. So when the sun shines here, what do people do? They go to the beach. But we did get some people, and importantly, we got some new residents from Aberporth, which was, you know, very, very useful. And they've gone on to take volunteer roles as well, which is good. We did a lot of door knocking and group visits so that we could reach those less connected residents. We wanted to target the young people, because that is really, really important, because at the end of the day, young people are the future. And we're looking at setting up a youth council. We had supporting material, and we created clear jargon-free presentation of our preset plans, a short film showing the council's work in the community, a version of all materials suitable for offline use, because it wasn't just about asking questions. It was about informing people first, and then asking second when they got time to weigh up and think about what they wanted. And I think we learnt lots, but one of the things that is really important when you're talking to people is not just to listen to them, but to look at them, because their body language can say a lot of things, and perhaps they need a bit of support to help to vocalize the feelings. Well, you want to know what we asked about. We asked, how do you feel about how we communicate? What are your priority areas for the future? Would you be willing to take part in participatory budgeting? How should we strengthen community resilience post-crisis, like Storm Dara? And if you could bear with me for a minute, I would just like to tell you that when we had that awful storm, half the village and surrounding villages were left without any form of energy at all. So people couldn't cook, they couldn't charge their mobiles and laptops and all the other devices that people use today. They hadn't got hot water, they needed to fill their hot water bottles. So with our partners, the Aberporth Village Hall and various other members of the community, the people that provided Meals on Wheels, the pub. We actually provided meals for 4 days for anyone that needed it, and we were quite busy. They had the opportunity to have a shower and, you know, play games, do whatever, and people worked really hard, and the volunteers were absolutely tremendous, really. And there was no charge, because we were very conscious of the fact that people are having difficulties, because there are a lot of very rich people in Aberporth, but there are also a lot of people that have to make the choice between eating and heating. What worked well? Well, the multi-format approach reached more people. The public event and film made the council feel more human, so people knew who we were, and we do make every attempt to have our faces shown to be turn up at coffee mornings and anything else that's going on, so that people know who we are and they find us approachable, because that really, really is important at the end of the day. Short, simple explanations helped demystify council processes. As been said earlier, you know, sometimes people just don't understand what goes on in a community council. So it's very important that we liaise with them and they understand the process. Door-to-door targeted visits reached the silent majority, and that was really good, and people were really pleased to see us. And feedback shows increased trust and support. So we're, you know, it was really, really a good process, and it's something that people found very, very enjoyable, I think. Whenever you do a consultation, you look at the results and then you think, what would we do differently? Right, so we decided we'd shorten the survey. People needed more bite-sized questions. It's evident that people need things that are short, sharp, and to the point. They don't want a lot of jargon. They want it to, for them to understand what it's like for their daily living, you know, and it's important that we develop a rapport with people. We're going to offer voice note or video response options for the less confident in writing, because there are a lot of people who are not happy about putting pen to paper. And in fact, even in this day and age, there's some people that have real difficulty, and, you know, we have to take into account all these things. We need to involve youth groups earlier in the distribution, and consider focus groups or peer-led outreach for hard-to-reach residents. So what did we do when we got this information? Well, we listened and acted. We launched a new easy-read digital and print newsletter, which we have distributed to everybody, all the clubs and the churches, and to these people who we know are not able to get out and about as much, but we wanted them to feel included in what was happening and still gain information from them, you know, to know what they wanted. We set up a new older residents group, and when we had the first meeting, they decided that they wanted to be called Forever Young. And there are a variety of ages, and it's amazing. We've got about at the first meeting, we had about 40 people turn up, and they seem quite excited. They know exactly what they want to do. They decided that if it was anybody's birthday, they would like a birthday cake, which they could all share. They want to go on trips. They want to do yoga, because yoga is available in the village hall, but they'd just like a one-off session in their group. And we decided in the end to use our reserves to buy the field outright to avoid borrowing. And I can tell you that we've got a sports day that we've put together for May the 31st, and we've invited all the local sports clubs to it. The MP's coming. We've got lots going on, because we need to promote this sports field because it is a very valuable asset and it can be used for all sorts of things: cricket, football, rugby, netball, all sorts of things. And we also want to gain grants and eventually have a small clubhouse there, because originally there was a large clubhouse, but that site has been sold by the MOD. So, you know, the sports people do need somewhere to change and to hold little meetings. We're not talking about anything enormous. We have put a shelter in there for young people to meet together, but we're talking about a large area there, and we're going to develop a community garden as well. And we entered into an agreement with the county council to save the toilets. They're not doing asset transfers with the toilets apparently now, but we can have a long lease, 50-year lease. So that's where we're at with that. And we're working on a joint application for more improved community facilities. We've got another toilet block in the community, which is it's got the life saving club underneath, and the lifeguards have got a site there, and we want to develop that so that it is updated and has room for all these people to operate, really. I'd just like to say that we had a wonderful response for the World War I celebration when we lit the beacon. It was a very cold evening, and we thought, well, we wouldn't have many people turn out, but we did, and it was a lovely, lovely occasion. The British Legion turned up with their flags and everything, and we had a 91-year-old gentleman who lit the beacon. And it was lovely. You know, we'd got music, appropriate music and things. It was really nice. And we're quite good at community events. We've always got something going on. But a lot of the things that we do with the village hall, who we also support financially with their fair share projects and things like that. And we, you know, all support the carnivals and all the other things that happen there, really. What I would say is if we could take away to other councils, if you want to communicate early and often. And as Sheila so eminently said, you need to keep at it. It doesn't always work the first time. And I find that with individuals sometimes, you know, they're not interested to start with, and then they are, and they come in and say, well, what about this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And so we need to go where people are. Don't wait for them to come to us. And make surveys short, visual, easy to complete. Use engagement to build long-term trust, not just one-off approval. You know, we're there to make sure that we develop further our foundations and give a really good service to people working together. And transparency, we find, leads to support and often even solutions. My final thoughts are, we can go there. Community engagement doesn't need to be expensive or high-tech, but it does need to be genuine, human, and proactive. And we'll be happy to share our templates, videos, or survey tools. Just get in touch if you'd like to. So I've got the community engagement survey report here. I think, Angela, have you got it on there?
Yeah, I'll share it for you now. I'll just stop sharing this one. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Can you all see it? Yeah. Right, 78% of residents are aware of the community council, but feel that they could be better informed. Only 22% feel well informed about council activities. I must add to that it's our community council meetings are advertised within the community each month and online. You know, so we do whatever we can to try and encourage people to come to our meetings. The Community Priorities Survey, 40% of respondents chose purchase of Parkland Field as their #1 priority. And other strong points were public toilets, play provision, maintenance of public areas and bus shelters, communication and engagement improvements, regular newsletter, which we have started, and it's, as I said, it's short, sharp, brief, to the point, tells people what happens at our community council meetings. So it's about informing people. Improved social media, public notice boards and flyers have got to be visible, consistent and up to date, and using every face-to-face opportunity we can. Drop-ins, coffee mornings, community events. And as I said before, youth engagement. We need a youth council, and we've got very strong school partnerships actually. Community opinion on value of money. 57 say value is acceptable but could improve. 29% not happy with the value provided. 14% are unsure and want more information, and people that have requested that have been furnished with it. The strategic action plan, well, I've covered some of this really, but I'll say, based on community feedback, the council will focus on secure and develop the Parkland Field, which we have done now. Secure and improve public toilets. As I explained, we can't do an asset transfer now. We're having to take out a lease, and looking for other people for funding for the other projects. Maintain public spaces and bus shelters, cleaning and maintenance plan, enhance play areas, involve families, young people, and seek external funding, which we are doing. And when we really looked at our playgrounds, we realised that we needed to have a clean sweep, and we might as well go and make a good job of it. And some of them, we've got 3. You know, we would have to replace a lot of the equipment. It's outdated, and we'd perhaps also look at ecological equipment, you know, things like that. Support age-friendly initiatives, improve accessibility and expand senior programs, which we have done. And within the village, we've got quite a comprehensive program with our partners that cater for senior program needs and provide cost of living support, promote resources, integrate support into wellbeing work. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
That's great, and thank you so much. What a fantastic piece of work carried out by your council, and some great feedback as well off the back of it.
Sorry, it was a bit garbled.
No, not at all. And the PowerPoint was great. So again, you know, if we are able to share that, it sort of clearly outlines the processes, the pitfalls, what worked well, and obviously what the outcomes of that was as well.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing is you had that great big hike in your precept, and you communicated with the residents the reasons behind that, and also understanding where they would like that money to go. So, you know, great outcome there.
Well, we couldn't have done it without their approval, really.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so important. And it's that buy-in as well, isn't it? That is so important, that they feel that those that contribution has come from there, from their needs. Community. So we will hand over to anyone who has any questions for Anne. Again, just pop your hand up, or if you want to leave any comments in the chat, and we'll come round to you. No. No. So you mentioned the community event, Anne, at the end of May. So what's the reason for that event? What are you hoping to achieve from that?
Well, we're hoping to achieve interest from sports groups to use the field, because obviously to get more grant funding, we need to be able to justify the fact that people want to use that area and want to develop. And at the end of the day, you know, the focus is going to be on health and well-being, I think, you know, because it's about, sport is good for mental health as well. You know, and you see that, you know, some children, you know, budgets are very tight at home. So they like this kind of project. And we've already started to have a 3 to 6 year old football team. I mean, once upon a time, we had a football team throughout the whole age group into adults as well. But of course, when the property was sold before the club, you know, things declined, because what people would like to do was go and do sport and then go and have a drink and socialise, you know, because it's all part of it, isn't it, really? That's what we're hoping anyway. And we'll have various people there, you know, the police will be there and various other people will be there. We're still working on it because it's all happened very, very quickly, you know, but it's going to be an enjoyable event, and I'm just hoping the weather's going to be nice, because
Well,
all the difference in the world, that will. Yeah. Well,
fantastic. Thank you so much for today, Anne, and especially for stepping in last minute for us and sharing all the great work you do there at Aberporth. Some great takeaways, I'm sure, there for everyone, in fact, from all of our presenters today. If you have a little glance at the chat, Emma's just dropped a few questions in there for you. So if you want to just have a little read and maybe drop a couple of comments in chat. So the first question asks, how many of you are already doing community consultations? So just yes, no in the chat would be absolutely great. What's the one method you found helpful for engaging with residents, especially those who are in harder to reach areas? Have you tried anything similar to our speakers? You know, that's been shared today. And how did it go for you? Because everyone's experience is different. So we'd like to hear whether, you know, those methods can work across the board. What's the biggest challenge you face when trying to consult with your community? Always a big challenge. So we'd like to hear that from yourselves. And finally, what's one idea from today you'd like to try in your own council? I'm sure there's something there for everyone to take away. Okay. Emma, you have your hand up. Do you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to say about this questions, if anyone's got any comments to make live about that, or is willing to share any experiences or challenges they're having within their councils. We've had a lot of feedback from councils that they find community engagement particularly tricky. So it's a good opportunity for us to hear from you, to understand what your challenges are, and then to go away and think about the resources that we might be able to provide you to support that effort. So just if you've got any thoughts today or post the event, do get in touch, because it's really important to us that we can understand what the challenges are, and then meet that with information or ideas or examples of best practice, you know, more of what we've seen today. So yeah, it'd be great to get your thoughts on that. Thanks.
There's a few comments in the chat, so thank you to everyone who's you know, popped a comment in there. Robin Lynn says they've not consulted as yet. Councillor Steve Hughes has. So we'd love to hear what that was, Steve, and how that went for you. Richard Williams, about to launch consultation on our new corporate and strategic plan. So really interested to see how you're reaching those harder to reach residents. And Robert Lane says he will be looking at events for engagement. I think that's probably one of the quickest, easiest ways to reach out to residents, to put on a community event. I know costs and manpower are always great obstacles in that instance, but if you can, you know, it's that face-to-face contact, it's speaking to people when they're relaxed. Just through normal conversations, sometimes you find out more about your community than when you go through those formal channels. So yeah, fantastic. Kaz Hamilton says community consultations a bit hit and miss, have not really had any good ones as they were before COVID. When we did have a community engagement officer, it was easier, but there has been a gap and just got a new one in place. Had a community meeting last year, but need to keep the moment up. So yeah, good luck with that one, Kaz. Hope that one works out for you. And Steve Hughes, Councillor Steve Hughes says we're experimenting with different engagement processes, surveys, events, early days, hope to expand on what works well. So again, Steve, we'd love to hear from you as things progress, just to get some feedback, and just to be able to, like Emma says, provide some resources that maybe can support some of your endeavours to get out there and consult with your residents.
Thanks, happy to do that.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, so is there anything from anyone else? And I'll just read your comment out. We periodically do a tour at the local market, a stall at the local...
Sorry,
Stall,
typing
it's
too
okay.
fast.
Usually general presence, but we've done questionnaires on the LDP and currently on the future of our leisure centre. As we said, I was inspired how pleased people are to be asked their opinion, definitely. Also trying to set up a youth forum, yesterday arranged with the primary school to come in every half term. So again, some really good activities happening there. Fantastic. So, okay, I know we're cutting a little bit shorter than scheduled, but if there's no further questions or comments, I'll just bring the webinar to a close. So firstly, thank you all for joining us today. You know, I'm sure you found it useful and picked up some ideas and insights to help you connect more effectively with your own communities. So, you know, meaningful consultation, as we've heard today, builds trust, improves decisions, and of course helps us respond better to what our residents really want. And especially in challenging times, it's so important that every single bit of money is spent where that community desperately needs it as well. A huge thank you to all our speakers today, Sophie Johnson, Sheila Jones, and of course Anne McCreary as well, and for sharing their experiences, advice and hints and tips that hopefully you've picked up today. So as you head back to your councils, we encourage you to take what you've heard today and think about how you can apply it to your own communities. And if you do have any questions, or if you do want to connect with any of our speakers, please keep an eye out for the follow-up email that we'll be sending out with today's resources after today's session. Finally, I will just mention our Cost of Living Crisis Facebook forum. If you haven't already joined, I've touched on it in the webinar earlier. We always share any opportunities for grant funding that might be available for you that you could maybe apply for, any good news stories from councils who are out there carrying out initiatives that are really worthwhile for you to just have a little peek at. We also share our toolkits videos of our case studies, as well as news of any of our future events that are taking place. So if you haven't already joined, the link is in the chat as well. So do click on, we'd love to see you there. Also a great opportunity for you to ask questions, and I'm sure someone within that group would be able to answer those questions for you, or we'll come back to you with something. Okay, so thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Have a great rest of the day, and hopefully see you again soon.